When life throws you a curveball, how are you going to handle adversity? Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast, where you're about to go on a journey as I interview security, business, and entertainment leaders on what it takes to stay fearless. I'm your host, Mark Ledlow, and enjoy today's episode. Hello, folks. This is Mark Ledlow with the Fearless Mindset Podcast, and I'm in the den trophy room of Frank Muir's house. Thanks for the invitation, Frank.
No problem, man. Thanks for cooperating with me. It's been a busy week.
Holy cow. I had no idea what the life of a fire looked like, but today I experienced it.
Yeah, it can be a little hectic. It can be busy. I think people a lot of times think it's just, you get up in the morning and you train them all. Most of the time, but then as we get closer to a fight, usually about 4 weeks before the fight, it starts getting crazy just with media obligations. As you're seeing these last couple of days, I've had to go and take care of all my physicals. And because I'm over 39 or 38, whatever the age cutoff was for Georgia, I have to take more physicals and extra physicals, make sure that neurologically I'm sound, which kind of makes me mad. I'm like, dude, talk to me for 10 seconds. There's nothing wrong upstairs. Well, nothing wrong because of fighting. I was just born this way.
He's on a roll. He'd be a comedian the next career step in the door there. Wow. Yeah. So you have a big announcement coming up, right? The big boxing match. What date is that?
I have a fight April 17th on Triller. We'll be fighting in Atlanta, Georgia at the Mercedes Center. I'll be fighting Steve Cunningham, who's a former cruiserweight champion, I think 2007, 2011. He's a guy who famously, I think, was the first guy to ever put Tyson Fury on his butt. Tyson did get up and win the fight. I mean, Tyson's the best heavyweight in the world, so no shame in that, but what a hell of a notch on your belt that you can say you're the first guy to ever even make him look human. And so a really great fighter as far as, he hasn't been active for the last 4 years, so it kind of makes it a little bit more equal. I've been a little bit more active, but obviously we're fighting him in his backyard. It's a boxing match, which is he's much farther of an expert in than I am. But the guy's in phenomenal shape. It's funny. There's a lot of, if you look at us, his wife's his manager. And even though I have Malky as my manager, my wife also manages and does, basically Malky calls my wife and goes, where is he? This is what we need done. And my wife organizes everything. So my wife is very much, integral part of my career. His wife is also very much of an integral part of his career. And in fact, when I was leaving Triller, I told him, I got to go. My daughter's going to be at Nationals. I'm going to go watch her wrestle. He goes, my son's going up to Nationals for boxing, who's an 18-year-old. So he's also in the gym. He's a gym owner and runs it. And his kids are following in his footstep. So it was funny because we kept sitting there looking at each other like, man, we're pretty much just, you're the boxing version of me and I'm the MMA version of you.
Right. I caught on to that. And I saw you guys do the interview. And I noticed a mutual respect you had each other, just a mutual respect, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, look, we're all warriors, and it's funny. I've told this to people so many times. Has there been certain fighters that I personally don't like? Yeah, it's happened, but that's usually a very rare situation. Most of the time, I really like the people I'm fighting, which people always think that's weird. Like, you're going to hit somebody that you actually like. I'm all, hey, when I go to practice, the people that I'm kicking in the face, I actually like them. And the people that gave me my black eye right now, we're actually friends.
Nice shiner.
You know what I mean? I get bloody noses and busted up mouth all the time. And guess what? The people doing it to me are my buddies. We go and eat lunch afterwards. You know what I mean? Fighting is not always about just animosity and anger. And in fact, anything as martial artists and fighters, we actually try to control our emotions because emotion can really lead you astray. You can sprinkle it at times when it's inspiring to give you a little bit of that nitro boost, right? But you almost kind of think of it like nitrous in a car race. If you run pure nitrous, you're going to blow the engine out. You have no control over anything, right? But at certain spots, you want to pump the button a little bit. It's fine. But for the most part, you have to be calm, cool, and collective because that keeps you sharp and aware and present. So one thing I always tell individuals, I'm like, hey, here's a scenario for you. Me and Steve Cunningham square up, bell rings, we're circling each other, we're getting ready to fire off, power goes out, right?
Oh, crap.
All of a sudden, they walk in, the announcer comes out, the MC goes, hey, sorry, folks, but power grid's done, nothing we can do about it, we're refunding tickets, and in fact, we're all going next door. Beer's on the house. You know what I mean? Drink to your heart's content. We're all going to party now, right? So everybody moves next door. Just somehow imagine this bar is going to hold a couple thousand people. I tell people, who do you think I'll be sitting and drinking with? Steve. Because who do I have the most in common with? Who do you think's going to be like, yeah, this one time, or this is what I think about this, or hey, what do you do when you come to this situation? Or hey, man, my wife the other day, I had to be at the gym late and she was getting on my ass. Like, we'll relate to each other. It's like two doctors or two cops or two firefighters or two guys that find out, hey, you were in the military? Yeah, I was in 92. Oh, what base were you at? There's immediate camaraderie because you're the same type of people. And so when warriors fight, we're the same kind of people. We're the kind of guys that like to push ourselves, put ourselves in an uncomfortable situation, and we see challenges as an opportunity to train ourselves.
So when you get in that ring in the first round, what's going through Frank's mind on, I know you want to knock him out. That's why you're in the ring. And you go from friend, camaraderie, brother outside the ring, but the minute you get in the boxing ring, you're thinking calculation.
It's funny. I don't know if I do this because I have a little bit of a weapons background as far as my training. Mm-hmm. I kind of probably the same thing of a guy when you're shooting somebody, right? At least the people that I've trained with, we don't think I'm going to kill this person. I'm going to kill this person. You're thinking incapacitation, no longer a threat, no longer a threat. You know what I mean? That's all it is. It's just I have to incapacitate you so that you're no longer a threat to me or my loved ones or whoever I'm having to protect that's under my care, right? Mm-hmm. It's not a fucking die. You know what I mean? Like there's not that mentality. And when I fight, it's the same thing. And some fighters do think that. I was just today one of the guys I spar with, Strickland, who probably attributed to this black eye. He's in the UFC, ferociously tough young guy. He's probably going to be a middleweight champ, and he's like, yeah, when I'm in there sparring you, I'm trying to knock you out. Everybody he spars, I'm trying to knock you out. I want to see you fall down, right? And that's what he thinks. He goes, and you? I'm like, no, I'm trying to incapacitate you. Like, so I guess we are thinking the same thing. Like, I want to hit you so hard to the body that you can't breathe and you take a knee, but I'm not thinking hurt you. I'm just thinking incapacitate you. If I catch you with a shot right on the temple or right on the ear that causes, a spin or whatnot, and I can get you to fall, well, then I'm safe now, right? That's what my jiu-jitsu is the same way. It's funny, even when I do MMA and I've broken bones in fights, and people always think that that's kind of strange. Like, how can you break someone's arm? I'm like, well, obviously besides the technical aspect of it, as I'm applying pressure on a joint, I'm just thinking I need that joint to I need to make this joint stop working because it's a threat to me. Mm-hmm. And if I can make that thing, if I can break it, it's no longer a threat. So I'm just breaking your arm, not because I want to cause pain, not because I want to hurt you. I just want to make it to where now we're only fighting against a one-armed man with two legs. Or if I break your leg, now you're a one-legged guy with two arms. And I want to work my way up through your body, however many bones I have to break, so that I can choke you unconscious, so that you lose consciousness and I'm no longer being threatened by you. I've won this encounter. So there's not a maliciousness when I circle with somebody. I'm just thinking, how do I get to the point where I incapacitate you? And so, all the fakes and traps, as I start out circling each other, we start jabbing and moving. I'm looking, okay, I did this. What did he just do? Oh, he's throwing this. All right, I think that's a setup. So, and the setup after that's going to be this. So I better look out for both right now. Oh, let me fire off. And you're thinking those kind of thoughts. And as I sit there and go through it, there's never and some guys do that, fuck this guy. And in fact, I have done that once in my career and it caused me a loss. So it's funny, the only time I ever did it, I immediately lost the fight because of it, because I lost my cool. And it was like a reminder, like going, hey, there's a reason why we don't do this, right? And I'm like, shit, that was a very expensive and painful way to stamp that home to not lose your cool.
And which opponent was that?
It was against Fedor. I was fighting Fedor, and we squared off, and we had a little exchange, and then I caught him with a good shot, and I hurt him. He wobbled, he fell against the cage and fell down, right? So the fight, I just have to finish him now. Yeah. So I run up to the cage and I still haven't lost my cool. Mm-hmm. But then I pin his head with an overhook and a frame against the cage. And I go to knee him in the face. I'm like, oh, checkmate, done, right? Mm-hmm. Knee to the face, from a 265-pound guy. I've done it before and it usually has pretty good results. But as I go to do it, he has one hand on the mat, and my brain can't remember the rules because they changed them 3 times before. So when I'm training for the fight, they're going, hey, because there's a rule now in MMA where if it used to be if your hand touches the mat, you're a grounded opponent, meaning that you cannot attack the head with a knee or a kick. So if someone has me in a choke and I just put my hand on the mat, you can't hit me. And so guys start playing this game where, you get them in a choke and they just touch the mat real quick so you can't knee them, which is kind of dangerous because it teaches you to expose your face to protect you. And I don't like those type of maneuvers because I feel that has zero over value for a real fight. Because if you're in a real fight and someone's choking you and they go to knee you in the face, you go, up, I'm grounded. You're going to wake up where your buddy's going, dude, you put your hand on the ground. Then the guy commenced to knee you in the face and those are your teeth over there. But hey, it makes for a hella funny TikTok video. You know what I mean? But so then they said that it had to be both hands on the ground. That was the unified, the new modern rule, right? Then they sent, that's what they told. Then when I got to the arena, they sent a letter to everybody's room, when we checked in going, hey, we're actually going to go by the old rule set. Forget what we said. Cool. All right. So now we've changed it back again. Then I'm in the back locker room right before the fight. They come out there and the referee that's going to ref your match just, hey, I'm checking your nails and, just any last questions, especially, younger guys, they'll give a longer spiel with, I've been doing this shit for 20 years. It's like, hey, Frank, how's it going, man? Anything you want to ask, talk about anything new? I'm like, nah, man, I'm good, bro. Right. Hey, I'm just remind you, these are the things I look for. This is what I say. This is my style. That's usually what the ref does. Right. And then the ref came in and goes, hey, by the way, the rules are this. I'm like, wait a minute. No, I got a paper saying the rules are that. Yeah. He goes, no, they got it wrong. The rules are this. Yeah. I'm looking at him like, dude, are you serious? He goes, yeah. And at first I was frustrated. I'm like, well, if I'm dealing with it, Fedor's dealing with it. And usually I'm okay with screw ups as long as the other guy has to deal with it. You know what I mean? If you say, hey, you're going to have to take a 24-hour plane flight, get off the plane and go fight. I'm like, well, is the other guy doing it? Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Fair, even playing field. I don't give a shit now. Mm-hmm. If it sucks for me, as long as it sucks for him, we're cool. So when I pin Fedor against the cage, this is the conversation going in my head. I'm like, can I knee him? Can I not knee him? Wait a minute. Is it down opponent? Well, obviously in a professional fight against a world-class fighter, that hesitation was too long. So as I'm trying to figure out whether I should throw this knee to his face or not, he comes up and he ends up throwing me with an Uchimata, right? Which is one of my favorite throws. So I get thrown through the air, land flat on my back. I immediately get up. Yeah. I'm able to scramble back up to my feet. I do an inside, invisible escape, came up. And then we have a few exchanges of punches and he's backing away. And as he's backing away, now I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed and I'm mad that I had the fight finished and I hesitated because of stupid fucking rules, were being thrown back and forth. So I'm having this conversation with me and then all of a sudden I throw overhand left. I turned into a street fighter.
Just in seconds.
In seconds, because I actually lost my cool. And then Fedor stayed a professional fighter. And so that question, what happens when a street fighter meets a professional fighter? Well, even a professional fighter who starts fighting like a street fighter, I instantly got hit really, really hard and the fight was over with.
Wow.
I dove right into a punch because I threw my head behind it, threw a winging overhand left. He popped his hips out, threw a overhand right, left hook combination. Fight was over.
Just like that.
Yeah, just like that. One dumb mistake.
Seconds and a bad calculated decision.
Lesson learned, though.
Wow. So you're going to be a full-time boxer now?
No, I like martial arts too much to really pigeonhole myself to any one discipline.
That's
I love boxing. And look, my father's from Cuba. He was born there. I'm a first generation from his side. So boxing is very much of my heritage. So I really enjoy that aspect of it. I've always grown up loving boxing, but and boxing is phenomenal. And I'll do more boxing matches, but I will definitely sprinkle them in with MMA fights still. Okay. The bare knuckle boxing, I'm signed with BKFC. That really has my interest because I think it's a classical way of fighting.
So you're looking for another MMA?
Yeah, definitely still do MMA. Okay. And then also too, even I'm actually going to start focusing this part of my life too, as I'm getting older, I'll end up transitioning completely into just doing grappling matches.
Nice.
But I've never ever trained for a grappling match. I've always kind of treated them like weekend retreats.
Right.
Because I train for mixed martial arts and I'll do camps and I'll train for it. But every time I've had a jiu-jitsu match, I just show up. I'm like, it's jiu-jitsu. I'm just going to show up. I'm not getting punched. I've never treated it with the same discipline that I've treated my other aspects of my career. So I'm actually looking at possibly doing a grappling match in September. I've had a couple offers come my way, some big names. So
congratulations.
Thanks. So I'm actually going to do that. But already I made phone calls and like, hey guys, you know how I'm really structured when it comes to this boxing and MMA stuff. I'm like, as soon as, we're going to do the same kind of camp that I do for that, but we're going to do it for grappling.
Oh, okay. Nice. So keep it in the mix, keep it in the industry.
Yeah.
Keep it rolling.
Plus, too, as I get older,
yeah.
sanctions and whatnot, it gets harder to want to do the full contact stuff.
Right.
So it'll still allow me to compete and be competitive and push myself, but without taking any type of head trauma.
Wow. It's such a different role. I mean, being around here for 2 days, organizing, coordinating, us getting together, just realizing what you have to go through to be in your game. It's almost like, it's worse than Daily Devils. It's almost equivalent to being in Marine Corps boot camp.
Yeah.
It's that intensity.
Yeah, it keeps you going. I really enjoy it a lot. I really do love. I get up in the morning. My first training session, I go do 45 minutes of cardio at the gym. Fasted and stuff, and then I eat breakfast. Then I hang out. Sometimes I'll come home because my next training's not till 11:30, or I'll just hang out there at the cafe. And then I have my second, because I have breakfast, and I'll usually have my protein shake right about 11. Then I'll drive, and then we go to Syndicate, where I'm either sparring or hitting pads, one or the other, because it's boxing now. Normally it was either sparring or grappling, would flip flop, but now I pick grappling out and just hit pads. Then I go home, and then Tuesday through Friday I lift weights in the evening, and it just kind of depends on my sparring partners, because I have my next practice is always at 5:00, and I pretty much do, if I sparred that day, I just hit pads at 5:00. If I hit pads that morning, then what I do is I drill. So I do something very similar to, and you'll see it tomorrow night when we're training. I have a partner in there, and the coach is like, all right, partner, you're either going to throw jab cross or going to throw cross hook. Right. Frank's not going to know what's coming, but right now he has to defend that and return a fire and then reset. And then you guys are going to move around and just throw your jab, so we don't know when it's coming. So it's kind of like, it's drilling like quasi live, where it's not a free for all. It's like, hey, here's what I want you to do, because this is what we want to work on, so we can get a lot of reps at this. And so that's what I do. And then I either lift, like I said, afterwards once I leave, or I'll lift before. It kind of depends on what's on the lifting schedule that day, because I flip-flop between intensity and volume. Intensity I'll usually always do afterwards. Volume I can do before. And then Mondays and Saturdays, though, I lift with Nick. Those are the days I lift with Nick Best, world's strongest man competitor. He was on the world, one of the hosts of the strongest men in history. And so he's a phenomenally smart guy when it comes to training. I mean, he's 51 years old and he's still one of the strongest people in the world. Wow. And so to keep up that kind of longevity, you have to be intelligent in your training. So he's really helped me really increase my strength and my anaerobic endurance. So Mondays and Saturdays are the days I train with him. And we not only do we lift, but we do a lot of, stones, sandbags, throwing it, 15 feet in the air over a bar for distance, carry and drag, which I think might be the thing I hate most in life. There's nothing worse than picking up a 300-pound sandbag, running it down, throwing it in a tire, and then pulling it back and going 20 meters. Like, talk about standing on the abyss. That makes me stand on the abyss.
I thought you were going to throw up. I watched you on your Instagram page. What's your Instagram page?
The Frank Mir, yeah.
Yeah, I'm on that constantly watching him because he motivates me, believe it or not.
Yeah, thank you, man.
And of course. And I saw you dragging the wheel thing that looks like a wheelbarrow with weights on it. And it's like you're about ready to throw up after that.
It was funny. I think it was back in September. A good friend of mine who's a really strong guy, but he does, Louis Simmons powerlifting strong, Obviously not Nick Best strong, but for a normal guy walking around the gym, pretty impressively strong, right? And so we're out there, we're doing this thing where Nick it's a keg, which I think weighs, his son is behind the camera, so if anybody sees me asking questions, it's because his son's videotaping. How much do you think that keg weighs? It's 308 or something like that? Yeah, so it's like a keg that's 300 pounds, then a sandbag that was 300 pounds, and then like another keg or the sandbag that's like 250 and then 200. So there's 4 of them, right? So it's a melody. So you got to pick it up, run it down, come back, pick it up, run it down. And when I say run, it's a very, you look like a guy who's trying to make it to the bathroom without, evacuating into his pants. You know what I mean?
Nice
best
visual.
description, right? So I mean, and you're holding 300 pounds on your chest to walk 20 meters. You can't take a deep breath. No. So now your lungs aren't breathing. So now you're almost kind of like just as you're doing this, and your only break is to once you put the thing down is the jog back to the other apparatus. Well, you don't want to jog back because the faster you get to there is the faster the pain is. We have Nick going, come on, man, move. And you see him sprinting it, so you're trying to do the best jog, run, quasi, just make it look like you're not walking movement you can. And so, when we got through it, my buddy, and good thing Nick's wife is a nurse, right, Callie. At one point I look over, he goes, man, I don't feel good. Like something's wrong with my leg. Like I'm feeling like a sharp pain like this. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, and my friend, his wife and my wife are very close. They train in the mornings together. I'm just sitting there going, oh God, if I have to explain to his wife that I killed her husband. And then afterwards, it was because there was more than one. There was probably about 6 of us training that day. Nick laughed because he goes into his house and we were all just laying down on the floor, on the cold wooden floor because it was cool. So we're just sitting there, trying to drink orange juice just to try to recover. It looked like some scene out of Saving Private Ryan. I mean, like all of us. He's just like, "Hey, you guys all right?" And I'm just like, and then at that point, you're like, yeah. I just told him, I said, "Hey, Nick, I'm sorry, man. I don't feel safe driving just yet. You know what I mean? Like if I get pulled over right now, they're gonna think I'm drunk."
Oh yeah. Because of side effects.
Yeah, I'm just like, I mean, like you lose your peripheral vision. I literally had tunnel vision. I couldn't see people next to me.
I don't know any athlete at the age of 41 doing what you're doing to prepare for a boxing match.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I don't know any NFL, any NBA, Major League Baseball. I don't think they do what you do preparing for your next professional business boxing match. It's pretty insane.
Well, I got 3, 4 eyes, wife 5. I've, my children are watching me, and I haven't been proud of how I've treated my career in the past. I've fallen back on my natural, God-given abilities and my natural talent, that I was genetically born with. My intelligence allowed me to get away with cutting corners. And so my kids are also extremely gifted, even more so, and I don't want them to ever be that kind of person. So I want them to understand that hard work is an essential aspect of being successful. So, when I'm tired and don't want to get out of bed and I'm hurting, that's the thought that hits my mind is like, my kids are watching. You know what I mean? Like, some people might think God's watching them. Some people think that their ancestors are watching them. I know my kids are watching me. You know what I mean? So like, and whatever works for you. But I think all of us do better when someone's watching us. And I know I live at home that my children are watching me. Even if they don't walk in the bedroom and see me in bed, if they see my door shut, my truck in the driveway, they know Dad didn't go train, that he took the morning off. You know what I mean? And so that immediately when I sit there and I'm hurting or in pain or just shot, you know what I mean? And not that I don't sometimes take breaks if there's times. I mean, last Thursday I was like, or even last night, I was like, hey man, I'm taking the rest of the evening off. I'm going to skip my last practice. I'm just shot. And so, sometimes you have to make those calls.
Yeah.
But they're made where it's believable. Yeah, we've seen what you've done all week. And it makes sense not to hurt yourself. But the days of just not training for a couple of days because I just wasn't in the mood, those days are gone. They're dead. They can't ever exist again.
So when you get to your boxing match, you finish that. Do you give yourself some rest time, some downtime, just to get your brain together and just recuperate and just kind of mellow out for a while?
Well, yeah, because the family needs a little bit of a break. Yeah. My wife needs a break because especially now it's getting worse because with my daughter and my other son, with their competitive career taking off, it's always go. It seems like there's always something we're going to. So if I can get a break, we have to sit back and rest. And it's not just a physical rest. It's a central, your adrenal glands, your central nervous system. There's a true scientific reason of like, hey man, you can't stay peaked out at all times. I mean, that's one of my arguments for guys in the military. That blows my mind that we allow these guys to go do tours or like, how long were you overseas? 9 months. I'm like, you were 9 months constantly terrified that you were going to get blown up and you were on, you were in that code red at all times. I'm like, yeah, I'm all, holy shit, you're going to need medication for the rest of your life, man. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that to a human being. Like, you can't do that and not expect them to be fucked up when you come home. It's like, well, did you see live action? Like, it doesn't matter. That'd be like when people tell me that, they're like, well, he didn't see live action. His mind can't be that fried. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I'm going to train you for a fight. And on Friday, I'm going to strap you up and say, okay, in 15 minutes, you're fighting a guy that's going to kick your ass. You're going to sit in the locker room. You're going to think about it all day, right? And then I'm going to come in and go, hey, fight's off. It ain't happening. Go home, go to bed. But we're doing it tomorrow. Go home, start over tomorrow. You come in, we'll tape you up, sit in the chair. Oh, you know what? It's not happening today. It's going to happen tomorrow. Can you imagine if I did that to a human being for 9 months? The adrenal drop. I'm fighting. No, I'm not. I'm fighting. No, I'm not. I think that might even be worse.
Good point. The medical doctors should look into that if they haven't.
They should. I just don't agree with that. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good point.
I'm like, feasibly, it's like, dude, cycle a guy in 30 days out. You know what I mean? Like, that's the most someone should. And then, test them, test their adrenal fatigue, test their mindset. Like, hey, there's hormones firing off that you need to take a break. So the question, to answer your question, before I went off on the tangent, yes, I take time off. I take a full week where I just chill out. I have fun. I still do steady state cardio because I believe that that's very good for flushing your system out, meaning that I'll still get up on Monday morning and I'll go do the elliptical machine or the row. I don't run anymore because I'm, just my knees and cartilage just, the stem cells helped out a lot, but I'm not going to try to burn that candle at both ends anymore.
Smart.
So, I stay active, keep my heart rate at 140 for 45 minutes. And so that I think is good for you. So I don't think you have to cycle from that. That's good consistency. It's good. It's just good for you as a human being. But as far as the explosive anaerobic training, no, I totally take it off. In fact, if I get a bug and I want to go lift weights, I don't lift anything that I can't lift for more than 20 reps. So that way it just gives me a pump. I feel good. I kind of do like a bodybuilder workout, maybe just stretch mobility, but you won't see me lift, nothing like 90% maxes were for 2 or 3 reps, all that, no hard sparring, no hard grappling, none of it, for at least 7 days.
Wow. You definitely designed a science for yourself to know recovery, know when to go, when to stop.
Yeah.
And that's a good analogy too with the military, because there's probably a reason why there's PTSD, because of the adrenal glands. And the military need, those doctors and surgeons within the VA should be looking at that, because as far as troop readiness, it's killing it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like I said, that's the best analogy I can come up with is that, could you imagine if you were on, because I could only imagine what it feels like to go on a security walk. It's probably what I feel like when I'm sitting in the back locker room knowing I'm about to go fight in front of thousands of people. There's an adrenaline dump. There's a nervousness. There's that you're in that fight, flight, flee type of brain, right?
Yeah.
But I'm only having to be in that for a couple hours, and then I get to flow out of it, Right. I couldn't imagine having to flow into that for, an 8 to 12-hour shift and then flow back into it the next day for days on end. That would just blows my mind.
2 year tour, you're shot. No wonder why you have PTSD issues and need prescriptions to deal with it.
100%. You fried the person out.
Yep.
I mean, and there's just no way that warfare, that the human can keep up with that. We're not designed. No animal is designed to battle like that every day.
Right. Exactly. Wow. Took my mind back to boot camp in the Marine Corps all over again. Thanks, Frank. So, Frank, where can they find the fight?
If you go on my social media, I'm going to have a link on it that'll take you through the Triller, so that way you can watch the fight.
Okay.
The main event is going to be Jake Paul versus Ben Askren, and myself is the co-main event with fighting Steve Cunningham.
Okay. So look for his Instagram page.
Yeah, the Frank Mir. I'll probably have it linked. I know they're linking it to my Instagram page, but obviously the Frank Mir is my Twitter, and then I have a Frank Mir fan page on Facebook. And hopefully, if it's only on my Instagram, then those will help lead you back to it.
And then those guys that have opportunities for Frank, want to contract with them, reach out to him. He's open.
Please just send me a mail. You can reach out to me on my social media and stuff. And then obviously I get a lot of contact. I don't personally read everything and reach out to it. I have a good friend of mine that helps me with it, but he filters everything through to me that's relevant and helpful, and then we work things together. So it will eventually get to me.
Well, thanks for your time, Frank. I know you're tired.
Awesome.
It's been a crazy couple of days, and I think we're going to wrap this up. Well, check us out, Fearless Mindset Podcast, and I'm on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, Mark Ledlow, and you can find me and you can find this downloaded probably about a week. We're going to get this published before his fight, so we can support Frank at the first boxing match in his career. All right, thanks, guys, and we'll see you soon.